Good afternoon. My name is Stella Papageorgiou. I am a mother and a lifelong educator. I decided to become an early childhood teacher because of my first grade teacher. Her name was Miss Sophia. Through my schooling, she was the one that gave me the extra attention and the self-confidence that I needed to become successful academically. My hope for my students is to thrive now and in the long run. Being a part of their success is thrilling and motivating. UPK is so important for children. It teaches them social and academic skills, not just for now, but forever. I wanted to use an example, if I could. In the past, I had a boy who came into my class, and he needed to work on his self-confidence and his language skills. It wasn't long before the end of the year, through daily activities, just as circle time, daily reading, and everyday math, that his self-confidence increased and he thrived in the classroom. Also, UPK is very important for families. It gives them a better understanding, and it gives them a first-hand experience of what they need to expect to achieve academically. Thank you, Mayor de Blasio, for inventing a pre-K and giving every family an opportunity. Welcome to Boys and Girls Harbor.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Great pleasure. Thank you so much. Thank you, Stella. We really appreciate you being a part of this today. And thank you for having devoted yourself to helping our kids. Now, you said thank you before to me. And I don't know what verb you used about what I did for pre-K. But I played a modest role in helping to bring more pre-K to kids in New York City. But Stella, again, thank you, and thank you to everyone who's here in this work, because the teachers, the administrators, the staff, everyone who applies themselves in early childhood education. I've met so many individuals all over the 5 boroughs. It is a labor of love. People in early childhood education are true believers. They understand the potential of our children. They do something about it. They give of themselves to bring out that potential. And I want to just thank everyone who's here, and I want to thank everyone who is helping us to promote this extraordinary opportunity for our children. I want to thank all of those wearing our very colorful and elegant pre-K t-shirts today for helping to spread the word, because it makes such a difference for kids to have this opportunity and for parents to know it is available. And since it is pre-K application season, again, I will be repeating frequently that it is free, full day, high quality pre-K for free. In this school year, there will be a seat available for every pre-K age child in New York City. Literally every pre-K age child in New York City will have a seat in the course of this year. So the application period has begun. We want to make sure everyone is aware of the fact that it is very simple to apply, and applying now is the smart thing to do. Apply right away. Application period has just begun. It will go through April 24th, but do not wait. Help build your child's future right now. Apply today for full-day, high-quality pre-K for your child. Children born in 2011 are eligible, so any family with children born in 2011 should sign up online. schools.nyc.gov/pre-K. Again, schools.nyc.gov/pre-K, or call 311, and representatives will help you with the application process, or text pre-K, P-R-E-K, to 877-877. Now, boy, have the people of this city heard the call, and we have an amazing number to show you, even the difference between last year and this, and how much consciousness there is among parents about the value of pre-K. Last year we talked about it a lot of people focused, a lot of people got engaged, and on day one last year of pre-K applications, 6,500 parents applied for their children, 6,500. Day one this year, 22,000 applications came in. 22,000 applications. Over 3 times as many parents applied yesterday for pre-K as the same day last year. That is an amazing example of how much this has captured the imagination of parents and how much they increasingly understand how pivotal it is for their children. I want to thank so many people who made this possible, no one more so than our Deputy Mayor, Richard Bury, who had to take this extraordinary mission and with very few months to prepare, got us to the point of having 53,000 kids in pre-K this last September. This next jump is going to be a big one. He's up to the task. His team is up to the task. I want to thank you for your extraordinary leadership, Richard. I want to thank everyone at DOE, everyone at ACS who was part of making this happen. It has been a tremendous team effort. I will, of course, want to thank our colleagues in elective office, Speaker Mark Viverito, Borough President Brewer. You'll hear from them in a moment. They've been tremendously supportive, and so many elected officials have used their offices to spread the word and to help us in all the outreach efforts. And many, many staff and parent coordinators at the school level, volunteers from all over the city have been part of this. You'll remember last year we crisscrossed the city engaging parents. That's happening as we speak again this year. So it's really an exciting moment. Now this school epitomizes what we believe in, the Emily N. Carey Harbor Preschool. It's a beautiful facility. There's a great energy among the team here. And the speaker and I had the joy of just seeing the music and movement class. There was a lot of movement in the music and movement class. The kids are very, very engaged, energetic teachers. There's a great sense in the room of the kids really connecting with what they're there to do. Now, I'm a layman, I'm not an educator, but I'm a parent, and I can tell you what I saw. I saw kids who were highly engaged, who were well organized. They were used to being in a group setting. They paid attention to their teachers. They knew what to do. When it was time to count, they could all count. You know, they listened to the instructions. They were ready for more. When you talk to teachers about what it means for kids to have gotten that depth of experience at the pre-K level and what it means they will bring to kindergarten and first grade, it is such a difference maker. You could see that here, and I hope everyone here is so proud of it. Kids are adding to their capacity every day in pre-K. They're learning vocabulary. They're learning how to work together more deeply. They're developing a love for the arts. It happens very quickly. When you're 4 years old, your mind develops more quickly. It's something special. We always talk about how children who are 3 or 4 can learn a foreign language, and the rest of us, if we tried to learn a foreign language at our ages, we would have a hell of a time with it. But at that age, kids are sponges. They can learn so quickly, and you can see upstairs that it's working. I want to thank everyone here, and especially our host, Executive Director, Dr. Thomas Howard, and the Chief Academic Officer, Pam Terry. This school here, this pre-K, is one of hundreds of free, high-quality early education centers that are accepting applications right now for the school year that begins in September. Again, we're going to have a lot more kids in pre-K coming this next school year. At this moment, we're around 53,000 kids in all our pre-K programs combined. Next year, we expect to get closer to 70,000. And that number, we're going to learn in the next few months what the demand level is. But what's going to be great about it is there will be a seat. In the course of next school year, there will be a seat for every single child who wants one. We did last year's improvement or expansion in record time. We basically had about 5 months from the time the funding was approved to go from 20,000 full-day seats to 53,000. This time, thank God, we have a lot more time and expertise, but it's still a big jump that we have to achieve. We need the state to help us, and when I gave my budget testimony in Albany, I agreed with the recommendation of the regents, the state regents, who said this program should be funded with $370 million of state resources. I agree with that, and we are pushing for that in Albany so we can keep this progress going. We know that we're going to benefit every child we reach. Every child who is reached will change. It will change the course of that child's future. It will change the course of the whole family's future. So we're going to leave no stone unturned. The application process this year is much improved. It's much simpler. It's totally consolidated. Last year we came in the middle of a school year. We had to do our best to put together a working system. This year, one system fits all. One application fits all. You can go online and apply for any pre-K site in the city online. Again, you can call 311. Before, you had to do different applications for different schools or go physically to the schools. Now everything can be done by phone or email. We're also going to have an extensive outreach operation throughout the neighborhoods. It's not just the phone banks and the emails and the texting operation. We're going to be out at street fairs and in parks and at community events. I was up at Yankee Stadium on Sunday for the first game of NYC FC. We were leafleting for pre-K. We got great response from parents. We'll be having community fairs promoting pre-K in all 5 boroughs. It's going to be a huge coordinated effort, I should say, and in April there will be a specific day of action where volunteers from all over the city will simultaneously fan out. And we're going to hit everywhere, including, as we did last time, the barber shops and the beauty salons, and any place there are parents or aunts or uncles or grandmothers or grandfathers who need to get this message. Why? Because we know it will fundamentally change the lives of the children. We also believe in this administration in tackling inequality. If you're going to tackle inequality, pre-K does it in 2 ways. It does it in the immediate term because for those families who do not have a free option for their children, if you're looking for private child care, daycare, it could be as much as $10,000 a year. For a lot of families, they've had to make a very tough choice. Are both parents or the single parent going to be able to work? Are they going to be able to work full-time? Or are they going to shell out the money for an appropriate program for their child, and will it be a good enough program? We're taking that pressure and stress off the table. This is a value, again, in typical value of about $10,000. It will be free. It will be available citywide. So right there, you're taking away a huge expense and stress and challenge for a lot of families. But pre-K, of course, frames the future. It has a huge impact on fighting inequality going forward because the children who get this grounding, and it's been proven time and time again, they will do better in school. They have a greater chance of graduating. They have a greater chance of getting into a rewarding career. So this sets up a future for a more equal society. I'm going to just say one little example. If you're wondering what pre-K does to quickly develop the minds of children, some of you may have been present last year, my all-time favorite pre-K story in Queens, when one of the young people at the pre-K we were visiting popped out with the word metamorphosis after we had read The Very Hungry Caterpillar. So there's a 4-year-old accurately using the word metamorphosis. So here's this year's new example from a woman named Veronica Sareko, and she has a son named Harlan. Harlan came home from pre-K the other day. He had paint all over him from the activity at the pre-K, and she asked him what they had done at pre-K that day, and this is a quote from Harlan, 4 years old. He said, "We, quote, created our own Jackson Pollock paintings." So now we've got 4-year-olds in New York City who know about Jackson Pollock and abstract expressionism. You don't know how far this could go. Amazing things happening because these young minds are ready for it. I want to finish by saying, this is the time. And I am a parent. As many of you know, I'm in my last phase as a public school parent for these next few months. But Charlene and I talk often because we have pictures of Dante and Chiara when they were 3 and 4 and 5 all over the house. And we remember how busy our lives were when our children were young. And parents got a lot on their plate. Many parents working 2 jobs or more. Don't hesitate, because world's a busy place and lots of stresses and lots of pushes and pulls. Apply right now. Pick up the phone right now. Call 311. Get online right now. Apply now. Change the future of your child. I've said many times, education determines economic destiny. More today than at any time in human history. Education determines economic destiny. That's why this matters so much. We want to have the American dream fulfilled, that the next generation will do better than the current generation. That can only happen if all of our children experience full-day pre-K and the strengths it will give them. Quickly in Spanish. Ya empezó el registro para los programas públicos de preescolar para el otoño. Para registrar a sus niños, los padres pueden llamar a 311 o visitar el sitio web del Departamento de Educación de la Ciudad de Nueva York. Queremos asegurar que todos los niños tengan acceso a escolar y una educación de calidad. With that, first, we have esteemed elected officials, but I want to give a parent a chance first. I know these good progressive elected officials will appreciate that. And James Ruffin, his stepson Liam, is in pre-K this year and maturing before his very eyes. Let's hear from James about his experience. Yes, he can.
Good afternoon. My name is James Ruffin, R-U-F-F as in Frank, I-N. Liam, he's my stepson. He's been here at the harbor now for about 2 years. And one of my favorite instances after picking him up was we were walking, and we're walking down, and he looks up at me, and he goes, "James." I say, "Yes, Liam. I'm a big boy now." I said, "I know." He's like, "I learned how to tie my shoe." I'm like, "Did you really?" I was like, "No, the instructor tied it for you." He's like, "No, I tied it myself." So I said, "Show me." He bends down, and he ties his shoe. So I was like, "Good job, good job." Excuse me. So we're walking, and he goes, "James." I say, "Yes, Liam." He goes, "I'm a big boy." I said, "I know, I just watched you tie your shoe." He goes, "No more diapers. I'm a big boy now. I'm in preschool." I said, "Okay, so you have to prove it to me." And he did. It's very, very important. The preschool has given him confidence that I don't think he normally would have had. He has developed this sense of communication, so to speak. He can speak with anyone. He has no fear anymore. He looks forward to coming to school because he knows he's going to learn something new. I'm very, very proud of Liam. To touch on something Mayor de Blasio said, when he learned how to write his name, he learned how to write his name L-I-A-M, and that's all it was. Just a few days ago, he's writing out his full name. His last name is Castro, but he's spelling it out. And he writes on everything now. Everything is writing and showing me how much he's learned through the pre-K system. I urge anyone that has not already applied to apply. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Well done. Thank you. Beautiful. Thank you so much. Nothing more powerful than a testimony of a parent. We thank you. And now a great, great supporter of this effort and my partner in so much of what we are doing for this city together, our Speaker of the City Council, Melissa Mark Viverito.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I'll be brief, but first of all, always a pleasure to be here at an event in my district. So yes, very much. And the Boys Harbor is a great organization providing quality education to our kids in many different ways. I also see the director of El Museo del Barrio who is here, who is also housed in this wonderful facility, and would encourage those of you that have a moment to either go visit El Museo or go across the street and go into Central Park and visit the Conservatory Garden, which is a beautiful garden if you haven't seen it, which the mayor has not, so you're going to have to go out there and check it out. So, you know, we cannot state enough. And we can't have enough of these events, not only to promote and obviously encourage constituents to apply for pre-K, but really underscore the value of what providing quality pre-K for every child in the city means, not only for that child and opening the doors of opportunity and creating that incredible foundation that is so needed to succeed, but is also really building the future of this city. And it really is important, and this is such an incredible milestone to have been achieved, and the council very proud to have stood alongside the mayor to demand and ask for that funding at the state level to make it happen. And to now see, Mr. Ruffin, as you're talking about how it's impacted your life and Liam's life is like you can multiply that many thousands of times over, and it's just really touching to me. I do not have children, but I know the impact this has for my constituents. I know that the impact that this has, particularly for communities that have been disenfranchised and communities that do legitimately have an achievement gap. And we know that Black and brown kids are not succeeding in terms of education to the extent that they can, and they're not fulfilling their potential, and this is going to do that. And this is really, really historic. So I want to also just really glad that to make it easier, now we just have this one application, which is going to facilitate the ability for parents to sign up. And it's making it easier and easier to enroll, touching more and more lives. And now this one application, which I understand, one is online, which can be done online, you can probably also call, but it's going to be translated into 9 languages as well. And so it's an innovative way to engage and empower parents to take charge of their children's education and to ensure all families have equal access to city services. And as I said, it's not only beneficial to the individual children and the families, it is very beneficial to our city. And that we want to support the next generation of New Yorkers and continue to build our city's economy, we must create a foundation to make sure New York City's school children attend and succeed in school. And that foundation starts with high-quality early education. So I'm thrilled with the numbers of families who have already applied for pre-K slots in the last 24 hours. I thank the Harbor and all the other organizations that are doing that in this district and encourage all parents to apply for available slots in their neighborhoods without delay. Very briefly in Spanish, el pre-kinder es sumamente importante para asegurar el éxito de nuestros hijos. Y gracias al trabajo del alcalde de Blasio, mis colegas del Consejo Municipal y de las muchas personas aquí en esta sala, pre-kinder es para todos, es ya una realidad en nuestra ciudad. Esta solicitud, que estará disponible en el Internet, será traducida en 9 idiomas. Es una forma para incluir a los padres para que se hagan cargo de la educación de sus hijos y para asegurar que todas las familias tengan igualdad de acceso a los servicios de la ciudad. La educación preescolar no es solo beneficioso para nuestros hijos, es beneficiosa para nuestra ciudad. Si queremos apoyar la próxima generación de neoyorquinos y seguir desarrollando la economía de nuestra ciudad, tenemos que crear una más sólida fundación para que los niños tengan éxito en la escuela. So thank you all very much. And yes, pre-kinder is a universal word in English and Spanish.
Muchas gracias. Okay. And now, another great ally in the effort to get pre-K to all our children, Manhattan Borough President Gail Brewer.
Thank you very much, Dr. Thomas, and I'm always glad to see El Museo, Daniel, and all of the wonderful people who are here. I'm really impressed with the mayor's technology skills to put everything online. It makes a big difference.
First person to ever be impressed by that.
Yes. We did it with the community boards, and it makes a big difference. We had a huge increase in the number, so that'll help. So I know that pre-K for all is a wonderfully wise investment in our children's future, and as others have said, it improves generations to come. We know that in Manhattan in particular, in 2014, 2015, the pre-K expansion opened 28 new pre-K sites in Manhattan and enrolled over 7,200 young students. That's a huge number and really impressive. So what I did, because as the mayor knows, I like to know what's going on, so I reached out to a new pre-K site at Goddard Riverside, which is equally wonderful, although probably nothing as great as Boys and Girls Harbor, I know. But just to see how things are going. And Mr. Mayor, you got an A+.
All right.
So the director described the 3 pre-K classrooms on Columbus Avenue as a huge, huge success with much interest from the community. 2 of the program's pre-K classrooms are funded by ACS, so this is a merged program, Head Start, and the Department of Education. So the 3rd classroom is pre-K funded by DOE, and at the beginning, one wasn't sure how it was all going to work out. So the challenge for this program and others was integrating the new pre-K classroom into the existing full-day daycare programming, because the pre-K day goes from 8:45 to 3 o'clock, and the daycare program ran from 8 to 6. The 2 systems have different vacation schedules. The pre-K had no after-school component, and the program had to integrate meal programs for children. But remember I said huge, huge success. So, but all of these challenges are being worked out, and they are minor in relation to the dynamic that Goddard's administrators and teachers have seen in the pre-K classrooms, and I'm sure that's true here. UPK has brought the full spectrum of economic, ethnic, and racial diversity into the classroom. Most of the students in the daycare programs are Head Start and from lower income families, but the UPK classroom that the mayor set up constitutes a truly mixed community. Numerous studies have confirmed that the socioeconomic status of a student's classmates has a big impact on achievement and helps narrow the achievement gap into the future. Parent feedback has been phenomenal. Parents nominated one of the teachers for a DOE Big Apple Excellence in Teaching Award. She's that good. And what's awesome is that the program is working on an in-house fix to add an after-school program for the pre-K. And next year, Mr. Mayor, the classrooms are all full. So working together with parents and the wonderful community-based organizations like Boys and Girls that make our public education system strong and resilient, we can ensure that all families in Manhattan, I know there are other boroughs, and throughout New York City have access to high-quality, full-day pre-K. And I thank everyone who's made this possible. It is a huge, huge success. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you. All right, before we do on-topic questions and then off-topic questions, just 2 points. I mentioned that we're going to be crisscrossing the city and having all sorts of outreach activities. We're going to be handing out these flyers that give you the basics on how to contact the city to apply for pre-K in English, in Spanish, and we're going to be, as Melissa pointed out, when you go online, you're going to find the information in 9 key languages spoken in this city. So then you say, okay, so you want to apply. Is it going to be a complicated, bureaucratic application? No, we don't allow those things. So we have reduced this down to 2 pages. Page 1, page 2. That's how simple it is for a parent, even the busiest parent, to apply for pre-K so their child can get full-day pre-K for free. Again, a value that could be, in many cases, the equivalent of $10,000, something that you can get done in a matter of minutes, and your child has a whole different future. So it's as simple as that. All parents should act now. With that, we're going to do on topic first. On topic.
I'm just curious about the 45% of programs that you rejected for this year. That's a pretty big number considering that there's been a space crunch for pre-K. So I'm wondering, A, what the breakdown of those programs is, whether they're mostly CBOs, and how you afforded that in terms of space, how you got creative in space, whether libraries or other public spaces you moved into to make that happen.
I'm going to turn to Deputy Mayor Bury, but I just want to start by saying, remember, a lot of you may have been there at the press conference last year when we first announced the results of our outreach to see which organizations want to be part of pre-K. We got an extraordinary response the first time out, and then more and more came in after that. So we always had a very big surplus in terms of potential space. And as Richard said in the past, we were choosy about the space that we ultimately selected, and we remain choosy. He'll explain how the numbers add up now.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, so as you know, quality, quality, quality. The goal is not just to open up seats, but to open up high-quality seats, and that's why we rejected about 45% of the applicants for quality reasons. Of the new seats, they're about half and half. Slightly more are community-based programs, early education centers. Slightly fewer are public school seats, but it's very close to half and half. It's somewhat parallel. And so the community providers are the full array. They are charter schools. We have museums. We have libraries. Participating. We have community-based organizations like in the past, religious schools. And I actually do think it's part of the diversity of the city that allows us to have such a broad array of providers that we can meet all individual families' needs. Similarly, on the public school side, we have seats all over the city, and we worked with principals to identify where there was room in their buildings. And knowing that this is such a priority, knowing that as a principal, having children participate in pre-kindergarten will make all the difference for everything else that happens next. It's been wonderful to see how principals have stepped up and worked with us to find space for pre-kindergarten. I always say the people who love pre-kindergarten the most are kindergarten teachers, because then they get to have these pre-kindergarten students come in who are now well prepared to participate in the classroom. So, like I said, it's about 50-50, slightly more early education centers in public schools, and like last year, we had every type of institution involved.
Let me just add to it. We have had an opportunity this year we didn't have last year. Last year, again, we came in new administration halfway through a school year. We had to acclimate to all the agencies and what they were capable of, and still managed to get to the 53,000 seats. This next process, although it's another big jump, we're going to be adding 25 to 30% more seats. The good news is we have a much better handle on the capacity in our public school buildings. As Richard indicated, we've been able to find more capacity in public schools. We also are now, because we're getting a much better bead on the interest levels, we're able to project ahead in terms of what we'll need a year, 2, 3 years from now. So this is also going to allow us to put into our capital plan coming up in April the building of pre-K centers in some of the most overcrowded school districts. Central Queens is a great example of a place that's perennially overcrowded. A pre-K center is going to relieve pressure on existing schools and allow us to keep building out the pre-K effort, but that takes a year or two of lead time to build out. So we're really speeding up the whole process now, but we've gotten a great response all over the city. One more point to the borough president's point. I really appreciate this because it has not been noted as much in the public discourse. A lot of the effort around pre-K around this country is focused on a smaller piece of the school constituency, meaning that it focuses on kids who have the greatest needs educationally or academically, and often a small percentage even of them. We said from the beginning we wanted this to be universal. We wanted it to be universal for the good of all, because parents across the board deserve this. Every child needs this as part of their educational preparation. If we're going to have a strong city and nation, early child education is absolutely fundamental. It should not be for some and not for others. But as the borough president said, it's also about bringing all of the children's abilities and talents into one classroom to help each other learn. So a lot of the programs of the past were for a narrower group of children. This is truly about universality. It brings children of all walks of life and all backgrounds together in the same classroom in many cases, and it lifts all boats. Yes?
How were you able to make sure that you were adding seats to neighborhoods with the greatest need? And did you learn anything from the first phase of the expansion?
I'm going to start, and Richard may want to add, or Josh Wallach from the DOE may want to add. We learned a lot, and we certainly know where some of the greatest interest and need is, and in some of those places, again, we do have overcrowding challenges. That, I mean, we're going to have to be very, very creative. So we learned a lot from last time as to where the need is greatest, and that helped us get a jump start on this time.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, not much to add. When we look at the distribution of seats, it's based on projections, working with the Department of Education very closely. Department of Education did a lot of work to project where population is growing, and therefore we need pre-kindergarten seats. Obviously, we also have the experience of applications for last year. So certainly when we go and look out and try to make awards and work with public schools, we are very much looking at where we think demand is. And you know, our goal, again, is we have seats all over the city. We want to make sure that programs are accessible, programs are high quality, and we really do encourage families to do their research, nyc.gov/pre-K. There may be a program. There may not be a program that makes sense for you near home, but there might be one near where you work, or maybe where you have a grandmother, or maybe there's something a few subway stops away. Using the pre-K finder tool at nyc.gov/pre-K is really a way to find all sorts of information about programs, whether right across the street or a little bit further away, that will meet your 4-year-old's needs.
So Staten Island makes up about 5.6% of the population, but the first day applicants are about 9% of all applicants, and almost as much as in Manhattan. I was wondering if you guys knew why there was so much interest on Staten Island in the first day, and whether or not you guys have any, have the number of the new seats that are available on the island, and whether or not there is increased interest on the island relative to
Well,
other
a
growth?
couple of things, and again, Richard, Josh, maybe want to fill in some blanks, but first of all, we had a great experience in Staten Island with year one of pre-K. There was tremendous interest. Staten Island, I think, in some ways disproportionately benefited from the pre-K effort. And I give the parents of Staten Island credit for being vigilant and diligent in jumping on the opportunity immediately on the first day. But I think we feel very good about our projections for this coming year in terms of the space we'll have available compared to the demand. We think we're pretty well aligned. Anything else? It's all Jimmy Otto. Jimmy Otto is calling each parent personally, you can quote me, and reminding them that they need to put in their application. That is going above and beyond the call.
First of all, as a board member here, thank you very much for coming.
Oh, I'm doing media questions.
Oh, sorry, only media.
That's okay. We'll come back to you, but thank you. Thank you. Media questions, yes.
Thanks. Maybe I missed it, but have you said the exact number of new seats that have been approved in the centers for the fall?
Approved in the centers.
New seats for the fall?
That have been approved already.
Yeah, there are about 18,000 new seats in the system between public schools and early education centers that have been added to the system.
Fall, there was an issue where there's a lot of the contracts hadn't been properly registered on time before the start of school. What, if anything, are you doing to try to avoid that?
I want to just jump in part one, and then
Sure.
you guys can decide which of you wants to follow through. Again, the history in the city government, predating us, is that programs began even while the contract process was being completed. So you'll remember some of the naysayers who last year said we couldn't get to 53,000, that the programs wouldn't be effective, et cetera, et cetera. We proved them wrong. The contracting process for many things that the city government does sometimes lags behind when you kick off, but we've made a lot of progress on that front. We're going to, I think, have a faster situation this year. What matters in the end is the product. What matters is our ability to serve our kids, and that piece is going very, very well. Anyone want to add? Sure. Josh Wall.
Thanks. I would just say that I think we've been working with our providers to create a system that's even easier for them to participate in pre-K for all, and part of that is making the contracting process better and faster. That gives us more complete information, so it'll only get better from here. But we're having a good experience so far this year, and we're very confident that we'll have a good finish to it.
Okay, on topic, yes.
Just want to confirm then, with the 18,000 new seats, have you identified space for all the new seats that you'd like to offer in September? And also, did that take into account any space in public schools that you might have to set aside for charter schools based on the new law? And
Whoa. Let's do one at a time. On the first one, do we have all the space we're looking for? No. We're still looking. We have a lot of space, but we are continuing to look for space, especially in some of the districts that have had the biggest overcrowding problems in their schools to begin with. Your second question in terms of, look, pre-K for all is a priority of this school system. I'd like to give people a little bit of a tutorial just for a quick moment. We have a system here called mayoral control of education. People become mayor through an election. In the election, there was a decision by 73% of the people to send me here on a platform that was led, number one, by pre-K for all. So we will implement pre-K for all. That is the first priority. We're always going to have to balance space considerations in every school. But we're going to make sure that the pre-K program is fully accommodated in a host of different settings, as you've heard, traditional public school, charter, religious school, community-based organization, libraries, whatever it takes. In the meantime, as you know, we've been working with a number of charter schools to address their space needs, in most cases very effectively. If there's ever a dispute or a difference, there is a process for resolving that. What was your other piece?
finally, in looking at old clips, the number that you guys were targeting for September was 73,000.
Yes.
On the press release, the only number I see is 70,000. Was
Yes.
that adjusted down?
We are trying to judge as we go along based on experience last year and based on additional information this year what that final number will be. But remember, the difference between last year and this is last year we knew logistically and financially we'd only get up to that 53,000 number. We did every scenario we could find, and we could not find a way to get farther than that in year one. Year two was about universality. Universality will be determined by the parents. Based on everything we know, it hovers around 70. We think the high end is 73. It might be 70, 69, 68. We will only know when parents make their own individual decision. So we've amended it simply to remind people that that number, give or take 70, we believe, but we will only know for sure when people effectively vote with their feet by putting in their applications. Okay, last call on topic. Going once, going twice. We are in off topic. Going once. Yes.
So there was a mass today about St. Pat's. You're a little bit late. I wonder if you want to comment on that. We had a story.
Well, we had a reception at Gracie Mansion for St. Patrick's Day. It was incredibly, thank you, Gail. It was incredibly moving. We honored Pete Hamill, one of the great journalists in the history of this city. Kudos to your paper. And he spoke very, very powerfully. I think everyone in the room was really moved by what he said about New York as a city for all and the role that the Irish community played in it. And, you know, for a variety of reasons, the program went a little long, and I left as soon as it was over and went down to St. Patrick's. I had a great talk with the Cardinal at the end of Mass and had the honor of meeting General Dempsey and a number of the mayors from Ireland. So the program went a little long. I think the moral of the story is we're going to start the breakfast even earlier next year because it's a little bit of a tight time frame. We have to do better next year. Off topic, please.
Mr. You were also late to the breakfast. Is the breakfast supposed to start at 7?
The breakfast the program went right as we wished it to go. But again, I want to start the program schedule earlier in the future. Topics. Going once. Going twice. Okay, thanks everyone.
Your Honor, can we get a photograph with the T-shirt?
You can.
Really? Everybody, nice to meet you, Marsh. You ready to have it, please? Thank you.
You gotta have one. And it was kind of his life. Oh, I was just gonna ask you how you